Imagine the unthinkable. You're going through an ordinary morning, the kind where nothing feels out of place, when suddenly a voice you thought you'd never hear again cuts through the air. A voice that once brought comfort, now impossible by every measure you've known for years. You turn, and there, alive, real, breathing, is the person you mourned, the one whose absence left an emptiness no one could fill. That's not a dream, not some flashback or desperate imagining. That's Heartland Season 19, Episode 1. And yes, Tai Borden is back. For fans who have walked this road from the very first episode, Tai's absence has been more than just another character departure. It's been a wound running through the heart of Heartland Ranch itself. Ever since Season 14, Amy's smile never fully lit her eyes. Lindy's curious questions about her father would fall into heavy silence, and we, watching, carried the weight of that missing presence. But now, the impossible has happened. Hope hasn't just whispered from the shadows, it's walked back into the yard in the flesh. To understand the magnitude of this moment, we have to remember where Tai's story began. Back in Season 1, he was just a rough-edged kid with a troubled past, sent to Heartland straight from juvenile detention. He was guarded, quick to defend himself, quick to get into trouble. But Amy Fleming looked past the walls and saw the spark underneath. Over the years, Tai became so much more than that boy who arrived to work off his mistakes. He became the steady hand for frightened horses, the dependable partner Amy could trust with her life, and the kind of father who would give everything for his daughter. Then came the devastating turn in Season 14. A gunshot wound, complications, and a goodbye that came far too soon. Amy's grief was raw, open, and unrelenting. Lindy, barely old enough to understand, lost a father she would know only from photographs and bedtime stories. For us, the fans, it felt like we'd lost the heartbeat of Heartland itself. Yet somewhere deep down, a small part of us refused to let go. The writers didn't erase him entirely. Instead, they let hints linger like threads waiting to be pulled. Amy's vivid dreams, Jack's nostalgic stories that carried a weight in his voice, Lou's quiet references to unfinished goodbyes, and even Tim, hiding behind his trademark sarcasm, showing moments of unexpected reflection. Then, in the final stretch of Season 18, everything shifted. Amy discovered a sealed letter tucked away in Tai's belongings. Its paper was worn, edges soft from years of being carried and hidden. Inside was a truth no one had expected. Before the world believed him dead, Tai had left for a remote veterinary mission in the far north. It wasn't only about healing from his injuries. It was about piecing himself back together after the emotional and mental scars of the shooting. The last scene burned into our minds, a snowbound cabin, a man's weathered hands holding a faded family photo, his face turned away from us, and then the screen going black. Season 19 doesn't crash into his return. It eases into it, quiet and deliberate. A frost-covered morning, horses in the pasture breathing clouds of steam into the chilled air. Amy moving through her chores with the practiced rhythm of someone who has carried on because she had no choice. And yet, there's something in the stillness, a subtle hum, as if the air itself knows a change is coming. Then it happens. A voice, steady, warm, impossible, says, "Hey, Amy." She freezes, the feed bucket slipping from her hand, scattering grain across the cold ground. Slowly, almost afraid to look, she turns toward the treeline, and there he is. Tai Borden. Older, the lines of his face etched deeper, his eyes shadowed by storms we can't yet see, but unmistakably him. Her steps toward him are too fast and too slow all at once, pulled by a heart that's already accepted what her mind is still struggling to believe. Her hand lifts, finding his chest, and she feels the warmth, the steady beat beneath her palm. "You're real," she breathes, before the years apart collapse into one fierce, unbreakable embrace. When the first wave of emotion subsides, she asks the questions she's carried like stones in her chest. Why now? Why disappear? Tai tells her about the shooting, the coma that stole months of his life, the way his memories came back in pieces, each one heavy with both love and fear. He admits he was terrified, afraid he was too broken to return to the life he'd loved so fiercely. Amy's voice trembles with hurt and truth. "You should have come home anyway." His reply is soft, certain. I needed to believe I deserved to. And then a smaller, higher voice cuts through the moment. Dad? Lindy is running toward them, boots kicking up the frozen ground, and she doesn't hesitate for even a second. She launches herself into his arms, and he catches her like he's been waiting for this exact moment every day he's been gone. She pulls back just enough to look at him and asks, Where have you been? It's not an accusation, just a child's need to understand. He doesn't answer immediately. Sometimes the only answer is holding on. The rest of the family reacts each in their own way. Tim, spotting Tai from a distance, smirks. Look who finally decided to show up. But when their handshake shifts into an awkward hug, the truth is in Tim's eyes, relief, regret, maybe even pride. Later, he mutters just loud enough for Tai to hear, I'm glad you're here. More than you know. Jack doesn't rush him, doesn't fill the air with words. He simply studies Tai, then pulls him into a slow, deliberate hug that says more than anything else could. Later, over steaming mugs of coffee, Jack offers his quiet wisdom. I don't need the whole story. What matters is what you do from here. Lou's reaction is a mix of joy and caution. She's happy for Amy and Lindy, but her instinct to protect them both makes her keep a bit of distance, at first. By the end of the day, after seeing him with Lindy and watching Amy's smile return, she speaks without hesitation. I'm glad you're back, for all of us. Georgie, with her trademark wit, smirks. Pretty dramatic way to make an entrance, but her hug is longer and tighter than she intended. As the day fades, Amy and Tai find themselves alone. Maybe it's in the loft where they once planned a life together.